Okay, let's begin the meeting. So I'd like to open the April Town of Atherton Park and Rec Committee meeting. Will, can we get the roll call?
Sure. Member Eisner. Chair Key.
Here.
Member Merrill.
Here.
Member Robertson. Co-chair Robinson.
Here.
Member Rosner.
Here on Zoom.
It's virtual.
Council Member DeGolia.
Yes.
Okay, and just remember, if you're gonna talk, make sure your mic has a little green around it, and then you can leave it off whenever you're not talking. Okay, any public comments? Are there any online? Okay, so let's move on to no presentations, to the minutes approval for our last March 6th meeting. Are there any comments or changes for that set of minutes that was sent out to everyone in draft form? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, it passed unanimously. Moving on to the regular agenda. Why don't we move to the playground improvements, 5A, and we have Scott with us remotely.
How you guys doing?
Good. How about yourself, Scott?
Good. So last time we talked, we had a few different concepts and we kind of talked through each of them, and it was clear which concept was favorable. And we had a subcommittee meeting and we discussed a little further, and we altered those concepts. The one that everyone liked, we altered it a little bit where we changed the central seating area with we took it out to where it wasn't as much of a central seating area and it had a couple benches, shade, and then we threw in a log climber, 4-foot log climber tunnel. And then there was a comment on replacing the two playgrounds and flopping them, where we have the 2 to 5 and the 5 to 12, and kind of swap those areas and fence in the 2 to 5 on the other side, which we did that caused us to expand the 5 to 12 age area a little bit and put in 4 swings. So in doing that, there were some discussions on the PIP and how we would go away with the PIP to offset some of the costs in the expansion. That conversation evolved in the subcommittee a little bit, where we did go back to throw in a small portion of PIP on the smaller age group area. I'm going to share my screen and show these concepts. And part of this, when we go through the concepts, we want to discuss also with the group kind of the public outreach engagement with the community and how you guys foresee that as well. And I'll share my thoughts. All right, so you guys can see the screen?
Yes.
So this is the layout where this whole area is fenced in with the 2 to 5 area. We do have an entrance here. This is where we kind of altered the seating area to move stuff over and add in this 4-foot log climber, which is similar to Nealon Park. And we added benches in here. So it still kind of serves as a standalone seating area a little bit, but also to be included into the play feature area, the play zones of the 5 to 12. Now this area here would be all wood chips. And then this area here would be the sand pit, and this would be wood chips as well. What we talked about is including a little bit of PIP. You'll see one of the concepts includes the PIP a little bit. And here on this concept one, we didn't have time to throw it in there, but we could look at an area where the entrance comes in and we add a small little PIP around like the pretend play kind of area. This kind of shows you that layout with the an overview of it. That's that double tower structure that we seem to like, subcommittee liked as well. It's a lot more exciting for the older kids to hit that higher age group. as well as a smaller slide and monkey bars. It has all of the features that were covered in the survey as well. These swings don't look so much at the swing types. These are kind of tandem swings. These are extremely popular in playgrounds right now because it allows for 4 people to swing. It does allow for 2 older kids to kind of swing together. This doesn't have to be the case here. It can be just belt swings for older kids. Same thing with here. This plastic looking rock wall climb up can be more of a rustic look like this. I mean, a natural look, stone look. This is that 4 foot. It's the same thing that's at Nealon Park. The Nealon Park one is custom made. It's a little bit bigger, but this is just a popular feature to climb on and climb through and stuff. These are kind of the things you saw before where you have the pretend play. You kind of have this for your younger kids, 0 to 2, and then another structure for your little older 3, 4-year-olds. Just looking at it from a different view, we do have the shade structures here where the sun is kind of beating down a little more with seating underneath to capture that area where people can sit. It shows a view of those sand pit area with the sand scoopers that you sit on and kind of scoop the sand around. This is the other concept. This is all, just so we all know, I mean, this area, just to point out, is all DG. This area would continue DG to tie in, which is kind of that gravel sand kind of feel. It would have, some type of seating in here with the shade structure as like a central area. This one, the fence is flopped. So instead of the younger kids being on this side, the older kids are on this side, and we switched it. Now the fence goes around here, comes around this way, goes this way, and then comes down here, where there'd be a gate entrance here onto this blue PIP area. This would be, sand would then still be on the younger kids area, and it kind of has a central seating area. This side on the 5 to 12 was expanded. So this area comes naturally around here. So you're expanded about 30 to 35 feet to add 2 more swings. You can see how this fall zone area on these swings are really big. It takes up space, which is was the issue on throwing in and being able to have 4 swings on this side. You have a little bit more room to play with on this side. And we offset that cost by taking out that PIP that was kind of throughout everywhere on the last model. So it kind of gives you an overview of it. You still have your shade area where people can sit, the four swings. Like I said, these can be tandem, they can be belt swings, whatever we decide. You can see the little PIP over here. What I would recommend on this model and these play features is putting this pretend play house right in here and putting that over there, just for maintenance with PIP and not having high traffic like slide areas and stuff, and where you get a little more wear and tear. And this kind of just is that same tower, monkey bars, climbers, tree climbers, set up with your 4 swings. So you can see how the shade, how you'd still have your seating areas with the shade around. Over here, I believe, is a little shaded as well, where we could put a bench with the tree that's there. And they just give you multiple views from going through. This is where the gate would potentially be put, so that you can enter and exit through here on the PIP. And all of this would all be ADA accessible to the features. This is still considered to code, even with wood chips. It would all be level with the DG to the PIP to the wood chips. So this is all allowed to code with putting it in. The whole thing could be wood chips as well. You can kind of see on this area, on this side, how the 2 to 5 area fits nicely on that when you swap it. Just gives you a view from the sand area that you'd have the same thing, just instead of the fence going around this side, you'd put it going that way. You can see how the sitting area can be, this is just made for a visual. It doesn't need to be those log benches. It can be, a couple picnic tables or, one picnic table with 2 benches. The picnic seating area, and you'll see how this side is all just open DG wood chips. You can see, hold on. I think there was one that kind of showed. So here, this would all be open. This is the area that's currently fenced in around. It would all be open with the picnic tables right there on the side, off the path on the other side where people can use them as well, walking down the path or kids or families. The water fountain was proposed to go right here on the corner so that you could get dog walkers, you could have bottle filler. Are there any, you guys want to kind of go around and give feedback, what your thoughts are, what you're thinking?
I'll open it up for any comments from the committee or any questions. Let's start with questions, I guess.
Hi, Scott.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm just wondering, and you guys probably already discussed this, but is the fencing necessary? I mean, since it doesn't completely enclose the whole area, I'm just curious what the parameters are or what the requirements are as it pertains to fencing.
Yeah, we have had a lot of conversation on that. The fencing for the younger area in the survey, there was a good amount of comments on them liking the fenced in area for the younger kids and being able to keep them contained and really for parents to sit down and them kind of be, I don't want to say locked in, but they have a kind of fenced in area in that smaller area of the younger, 0 to 5 age. Does it need to be fenced in? There's a lot of parks that are not fenced in, and it is not a requirement. This is not next to major roads or anything of that sense. It's inside a central park area.
Okay.
Although there could.
I
be
totally get it
Yeah.
with the younger kids area. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
And
Yeah.
there could be dogs around too, so, it's always good to have that protection for the little kids.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty clear consensus to have the younger kid area fenced
That
in with
That makes
the
sense.
survey and everything.
Got it.
Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, I personally like the swapping. I was wondering in the big kids section or the older kids, it seems like there's a fair amount of space between the swings and the whatever you call that thing. Is there something, I know we need room for safety, but is there something that maybe could break up that space? I can't know the exact measurement, but it seems like just a lot of wood chips that'll show there.
Yeah, and it is a visual, not fully drawn to scale on the digital concepts showing you, so you see it that way. This part of the discussion, and I think I had mentioned it in our subcommittee meeting last week, that there wasn't enough time to bring up that to get these digitally designed and ready for this meeting. But I would look at this being moved in as close as we can, because when they're looking at, there's a reason why it's kind of slanted this way with these shade structures and the way that this is. And remember, we're currently right here along this line, if you see my cursor, and there is this tree right here. So this tree plays a role in the expansion to be able to put stuff around that or move it in closer. But I would definitely move this as close as we can to here and minimize this expansion as much as we possibly can, so it doesn't look like a lot of wood chips as much as is possible to these fall zones in code. But to even add another structure, we're kind of getting out of that as even being an option. This 5 to 12 play structure is way bigger than what's there now, with a lot more than what's currently in the 5 to 12-year-old area.
Thanks.
Just so
So-
everyone knows, the blue lines around each apparatus is the fall zone, so that's kind of the space that cannot be encroached on by another apparatus. So you have to, they can touch, I think they can touch, but they can't overlap.
Yeah, there's certain areas that can slightly overlap from the farther distance out of those blue lines. And you'll see some from maybe it's in this one that's a little tighter of it. You see this area, this round area would slightly overlap this round area. Same with this one and right here as well. So it's due to the distance away and the height of the feature. So this is a really small feature. So you can kind of overlap a little more.
Okay, okay. So they can touch a bit, just not too much overlap.
Yeah, so there's pushing them in as much as you can. So on that one, we would really try to get this as close as we can to here with this feature and whatever's allowed with these. You know, these may be able to be moved over a little bit and minimize this expansion, you know, just to be safe with budget and for looks.
Are there any other questions from the committee? If not, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment? Except Francesca's. Go on. Okay, why don't we come back to public comment if, and then what is it that you need from us, Scott, today? Do you need us?
So, yeah, so the goal from here is to really iron out two ideas, two concepts that you like. If it's these two, you know, if it's a future one, to be able to bring to the public for engagement and an outreach. And that outreach would look like a meeting that would be set up on a particular day. We would have display boards, and it would be, you know, if we didn't do 2 meetings, one in the day out at the park and one at night, where it's like a 2-hour period where they can come. Maybe it's from like 6 to 8 and it's advertised and put out, and they can come and provide their input on the concepts. And being that the concepts, these are the 2 concepts, you know, what are your thoughts? Which one do you like the most? I would have some sticker kind of format set up when they come in to place their sticker on the board of which one they like the most, to really give the community an opportunity to have a say and provide some input. So really we need 2 different options, being if it's these, I wanted to give you guys time to kind of collect your thoughts on these ones before I jumped into kind of the wood look structures and the pros and cons to those, and if that's even something that wants to be looked at. So really, I just need to know where our heads are at as a group with what you've kind of seen for these concepts.
So are we happy with these concepts to take to the public as a committee? Okay.
Scott,
Yeah,
let me ask you a question. I think you said you would come with.
I can't hear.
You would come with some cost numbers tonight. And I think that would be important probably for our public outreach too. What do you have?
So the costs themselves and breaking it down really comes down to the concept to get it down to the nitty gritty. Like I said, these structures between the 2 of them they're around 600,000 for the playground features. And what you see is based off of if what's included, but it's right under 600,000. Include the benches, which I don't know if they'll be included in that cost for this, but includes the benches. It includes the picnic tables here. It includes all these features that you see, as well as the wood chips, and that's installed and purchased and everything. That does not include the site work, the curbing, concrete work, any drainage that we put in, and those types of things that will put us around our budget number based off of the pricing that we've established for these.
That was 600K for both options, for either option?
Yeah. And that's they're around that. So it's around itemized, 570 to 600 based off of the two different concepts.
Don't we
Now,
know
the
what site work?
the PIP being this little portion here is not included in that price. That would be an extra that is, that goes for about $30 a cubic foot. So it gets pricey when you get it up there. That last concept I showed you guys was about $70,000 worth of the last meeting of PIP. So, and that was a small amount of PIP for a playground. This is kind of put in here to give a nice entrance into this play area.
I'm sorry, would this still be the 70,000 or now it's smaller?
No, now it's smaller. We haven't priced that out. It's minimal though. This is a very small amount of PIP if you remember from the last concepts of the last meeting.
Okay, how about the site work? Isn't that pretty well known? We know what the space is.
It depends on the exact site work and the curbing, and that depends on, so we're having some removed here. We're gonna be adding curbing around here. These round out, so there's gonna be a little bit there. So the numbers you have, the numbers I've given you is playing with those numbers to put us within that $1 million budget.
You mean the site work and the PIP of some $30,000 or something would raise the 600,000 to $1 million?
You have a 10% contingency off the top. So 10% of even the $1 million right there. And then you have your contractor pricing for site work, curbing, drainage. So I don't have itemized numbers for you, but we've ballparked it to be within that budget.
Okay, please give us a ballpark for those other items. Seems to me,
Okay.
I know the square footage for site work. You know what the length is for the concrete. And I'd like to see a breakdown also of the cost per playground item, i.e. what that big thing costs is 2 stories and so on.
Yep. Yeah. I'll get that. And we'll have a subcommittee meeting. And one of the other items that gets a little pricey is the water fountain with the potable water run and trenching and connecting it to where the existing is. But our next subcommittee, even prior to our next advisory board meeting, that's the next step we're getting into, as well as concepts and kind of models to select from for the restroom. That's going to be included. So we're looking at that, and we have some models that are going to be proposed to you guys probably in the next meeting to see what that'll look like. We're looking at maximizing the restrooms by 1 stall or possibly 2. And I'll share the 2 different styles that we're looking at.
Well, I think the bathroom would be very useful to have. That's entirely separate, of course.
Yep.
Because this is the time of year, as you probably know, when the CIP budget is done. So if we could have that soon as well. I misunderstood. I thought tonight you were going to have cost numbers. But in any case,
Yeah,
what do you
the
have
most
in
important.
mind for the next subcommittee meeting?
Yep. And the next, the most important thing is how do you guys feel about these structures compared to what's there now and meeting the needs of the community and how those fit?
Well, meeting the needs of the community, we know what the survey showed. We've talked about that on the subcommittee. So I don't know what decisions there are to be made on that regard.
I'm happy with the equipment. I think part of going to the public is to get their feedback, and then we'll hear from them in terms of if they want a different set of equipment, more of one thing, less of another thing. And
Yeah.
we'll hear at those 2 public meetings.
Okay. Then
And speaking of public, is there any public comment for this item?
I do have one public comment,
Okay.
and it's a comment I can read it. At the,
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, you don't see any public comment that,
No.
okay, no one's raised their hand. Okay, so, so I think we've given you the feedback. Those two models are fine to take to the public. I think the committee probably will want a copy just so that, because it wasn't part of these materials, but just, Scott, just send it to Will and Will make sure it gets to us in electronic form.
I think.
Yep, I'll send that. I'll send that right after this. It's one PDF with all of it in there in order. Before I show you the next thing, I just wanted to, the public outreach portion, are we good with doing a meeting? I would say like I discussed, the 2-hour block, advertising it, having nice display boards on easels, and inviting anybody who wants to come out. And I can coordinate that with Will and Robert on, the room and the setup and everything.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Robert had said 2 meetings, one during the evening and then one maybe afternoon or at the park.
Yes.
And then just getting the feedback there, and the committee members don't necessarily need to be there. In fact, we probably shouldn't have more than a majority there. But yeah, it'll just be open to the public and anyone can come.
Yep. Okay.
Did you have something to say, Noah?
No, I think the one thing Scott has to give us is the alternative. There were 2 different types of structures. One is the one they shown, and one is a more rustic one.
Okay.
So
yeah.
that's the other thing that we were supposed to go through right now.
Yeah. So the more wood look, kind of like you currently have out there now, is I'll just go through these, but these are kind of from the timber form look, wood look, that is gonna be a little bit more platform based wood net climbing stuff with some slides. It's gonna be less like for your the double tower tube slides with all the kind of climbing around. This is more walking through kind of. This is something that we can look at. I don't know where our heads are at with this versus the kind of game time landscape structures, play source kind of metal playgrounds. But this doesn't last as long, obviously. It does have a little more maintenance. It's similar to what you have out there now. It weathers, and it, you got to replace pieces or take them out, similar to what's kind of happened out there with the existing playground. These are like the swings setups that can be, with belt swings or ADA swings or tot swings.
The upfront cost, are they the same as the other proposal?
We would follow the same pricing concept. I don't think there would be as many things out there. If you look here, this is the 2 to 5 kind of age group. And these are the 5 to 12. So you can kind of see it's not tall. It's kind of a platform based bridge kind of net stuff. But that's something we would have to see what would fit in the amount of these with the budget.
Scott, could we integrate a little bit so that we have that very tall structure? It's got some wood on it. And then obviously we want to take away the garish colors that would be on that, make them brown. Could we do that, integrating the two? I like the looks of the swings, for instance, the things that can be either way. But I don't want to essentially take away some of the thrill that the kids are going to be expecting.
So if you're talking about instead of the swings, we have something like these swings, that is possible. As well as if you go back to kind of the shade area, can be like those column, natural posts to kind of give that natural feel rather than the metal ones. Just integrating the two companies would just be the coordination of the items and direct purchase and getting them in there. It's a little more complicated if you're trying to integrate the two.
Oh, they're
Um,
two
but-
different companies, so it's nice.
Yeah, they're two different companies, so it's not that it's not possible, it's just gets a little more complicated in coordination. And the hard part is really can't really show concepts like we have with the digital with this and that kind of mixed. We can have images that are digital of them standalone. It just gets a little more complicated, but it's more of the feel. You sacrifice a little bit of the items and the excitement, I think.
What's that facility there? Is that for the younger or the older?
This is older.
I think it would be a challenge to combine the two from a aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
While I do also think those swings look cool, I think these are underwhelming. And if our purpose is to make a playground that kids will enjoy, I'd rather err on the side of more enjoyment than I would err on the side of beautiful.
I think it's a mistake to try to combine two different styles.
Yeah, I would agree.
But is this being proposed because you want us to indicate which we prefer, or because we would be presenting each of these styles to the public?
Both really. It's if this is something you think we should look at to kind of have a second concept with these, we can work on that. Yeah,
My opinion is that the other design is much more interesting.
I agree.
This looks old to me. It looks like a generation ago. But if I have no problem presenting it as an alternative and let the public say what they think.
okay, so I think I understand, and I'll go back, I'll get with Robert and see, his opinion on it. And if anything, it's clear on these concepts and that you like them, you guys all like them, and can be, two separate concepts that are kind of shared with the community. Some bullet notes on the displays, kind of explaining a little bit of it, and and have an interactive open house kind of feel for the community to come to and advertise it and everything.
If you do that, Scott, maybe you could get something a little more exciting for the 5 to 12-year-olds, what I saw. In that concept, I may have missed it, but I didn't see anything that really was challenging. Walking
On
across
this
the
one?
Platform and down a slide.
I think he
Oh,
means
this.
the timber.
I'm
model.
all pellet guns.
Yeah, the rest, yeah.
Yeah.
Pellet guns. Younger.
Helmets.
What's that for?
Can you get a slide that looks like it's for a 3-year-old?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
looks like to me the 0 to 2s.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the sacrifice with going with the more expensive kind of this look. They
is
do
expensive.
have them, and they do make them a platform kind of, 2-story, but it gets expensive. So this is what was priced out from this manufacturer on items for this particular playground in our budget.
My feeling is we should not present an option that is underwhelming and are cost prohibitive. And so I don't see any purpose in presenting these options personally.
I agree.
Okay,
I definitely agree.
okay. Yeah,
So
so I
what-
think I've got everything I need, and
Okay.
I'll get with Robert, and then the subcommittee, we will set something up here in the next couple weeks probably, and get the next step. The subcommittee probably will be where we do discuss and show the restrooms and get into that. We're starting the preliminary design of that and kind of the research of potable water, the sump pump, and where it's coming from and those types of things to get Robert a price on that for budget reasons. since they're going through that right now.
And that's gonna be outside the $1 million budget?
Yeah,
Okay.
this will completely, so the original plan was always to design it under us and
Mhm.
put it out as a bid alternate.
Okay.
They're going through the budget process, so they're looking at that now to when we put it out as a bid alternate, and that'll be dependent on if we move forward with it,
Okay.
once that, decision is made.
For our next May meeting, are we gonna have the feedback back from the public by then? Or would you still be having your public meetings at that point?
It's gonna be pretty close. So we'll have
Okay.
to, you'll be updated by Robert. It would be close with the display boards and setting that up and scheduling it. I don't think it's impossible. I just don't want to say yes that our next, May meeting we'll have that completed and done. We got to get a flyer and get it out to give the public time to put it out as well, so that they get it and get the information and are aware of the date.
Okay,
Yep.
go ahead, Rick.
On the restrooms, as you look at it, you should definitely look at the restrooms that are at the ball field.
Okay,
Because the difference, the look and the feel between the restrooms that are right now near the playground and the ones at the ball field are 100% night and day.
okay, yeah. How many restrooms are at the ball field?
There's a boys and a girls, I think there's 2 stalls, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look at it. We are trying to match obviously that look, and the idea for this would be like a prefab restroom.
Yeah,
And
I think they probably are. I mean, you can look at them and you'll be
Yeah.
able to judge it.
yeah,
They were not super expensive. I mean, they built that whole ball field, with donated dollars, so my recollection is the whole thing was $600,000, but I could be wrong.
okay, yeah, we'll look at that. And this one from currently what's out there is going to be a expansion from what's currently out there. The footprint will expand. And there's options with water fountains on the outside of them and things like that.
Does the council need a estimate by the time they consider the next year's capital budget?
Yeah, if you guys are gonna have a subcommittee where you're gonna get the numbers, like what the different stuff's gonna be, it would be really helpful to have it by our meeting
Yeah.
next month, because that's when the council meets.
Is it the first Wednesday you'll consider on May,
Yeah,
the capital
yeah,
budget?
yeah.
Okay. So Scott, if you can kind of get your best cost estimate to, I guess, to Robert or Will, at least a week before that first Wednesday in May.
Yep.
They could probably get that to finance to let the council know what they expect it to cost.
Yep.
Okay,
That's basically 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and
May
this,
1st.
I mean, it's
This-
best estimate at the time, whatever it is.
And it can be arranged, and we can refine it the next month, but next month is the discussion on the capital improvement project, so, and
Yep.
that's when we allocate, well, when we propose a budget, we don't finalize the budget until June.
And
And
as we
this-
just, go ahead, Scott.
sorry.
Is it
This
May 1st?
playground is already part of the current budget, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it current budget?
Yeah,
I
so.
It's in the budget for next year.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. The
Okay.
actual, because this budget is just spending on planning.
Design.
Design, yeah. And next year's budget is something like $1 million, but
Got
it
it.
will be adjusted for the bathroom. Because I think that wasn't originally included. And plus, as we discussed in the committee last month, the top 2 priorities are playground bathrooms. So
Yeah.
from our side in terms of.
That came a lot in the survey as well, replacing the restrooms.
Okay, I think
Would
we,
that be May 1st, Rick? That's the
Ye-
first Wednesday, but
yeah, they usually have it on the first
Bingo.
Wednesday.
Uh,
I mean, very
Yeah, it's May
early.
first.
it's May first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't have much time.
Well, it's the best estimate at the time, whatever it is. Okay, if there's nothing else on this, why don't we move to 5B pickleball?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
pickleball-
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Scott.
it.
Thank you, Scott.
Just a few updates on pickleball. We've seen a slow increase in reservations, mostly due with the sporadic good weather we've been having. The baffling has been over in Dublin with our contractor MCE. It will be delivered on April 22nd. And during that week, we'll be working with Mike from Players Capital to get it shut down that court number 1, and we're hoping to get it installed within 1 day. And I'll put up, and then we can kind of do more testing on the sound and to see if it's a, better quality and everything like that. I still need to talk to Mike a little bit to see, he was proposing starting lessons on pickleball. I don't know if that has come to fruition yet. The one thing Robert did say is that we need to schedule a subcommittee meeting down the road to kind of hear comments on pickleball and, to see how it's going, progressing.
Okay.
And
Can
that's
you
it.
give us the sound information?
I don't have the sound information this time. I will get it downloaded. I can send it to you guys and
Would you
Print it
take a
up.
look at that carefully? Because I've been told now by a gentleman who knows a lot about this, that last time we were shown charts where you couldn't differentiate between the noise of the train or any other noise and pickleball. I've been told that's not accurate.
Okay.
And may well be, it was accurate then. But actually, you have a different frequency. And so we need to be sure the data is being analyzed properly. We can't just be looking at a decibel number. That's not what we need. The whack of the pickleball is apparently very different in frequency and can be sorted out quite readily. That's what I've been told.
yeah, I know the
Would you please
program
be
has
sure to dig
many,
into that, because that's a really big deal
yeah,
with this community.
yeah. I know that there is different frequencies on there and different things that we can try to monitor. It's just trying to go through that data and figure it out. So I'll talk to Robert and see what we can do.
And if this pickleball subcommittee wants to also work on that to
Yeah.
get better data. Last time we were told it collects data at 7-minute intervals. So sometimes if it's just collecting the high and the high is the train horn,
Absolutely. yeah.
it'll kind of measurement is not going to be valid. So, yeah, I would be interested. And Robert also said he probably has limited staff time to do any
We don't have the staff
Any
to do it, so
analysis.
if there's
I
any
don't know if the
volunteers to work on that. of course.
subcommittee wants to think about what to do about stuff like that, if to do some analysis on their own. What has been the feedback so far from the public or neighbors? Have they said anything?
We haven't had any issues with neighbors, nobody complaining about any sound or anything like that. I know that we've had a lot of people come in and they have enjoyed it. They look forward to it. I usually go out there every day and we see people on court number 1 playing pickleball and using the facility. Got a lot of positive feedback so far. I haven't
Okay.
heard anything from any tennis players about any kind of inconvenience as of yet. But I know that the reservations are now going up with the good weather and it's being positive right now.
Well, how much is it being used?
There's a printout there of the
Yeah, it
difference.
says 24 times.
Yeah, so
the
it's
last
only
month.
open certain times of the days on certain days of the week. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it's used throughout the day and the reservations are increasing. So,
So as far as usage, the only thing we could base that on would be the reservations.
yeah, right now that's the usage is just off the reservation.
And we would know from those reservations whether it's 2 people or 4 people.
No, yeah, it's usually 2 people that are on the court at a time, but there's 2 courts on court 1, so it's,
Yeah, well, I know that, but
yeah.
So, I mean, there are days like yesterday where we're going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 hours of reservations. Pickleball.
Mhm.
So theoretically, that should be about 20.
Yeah.
I guess there's someone that just did a half hour. Yeah, it's definitely increasing. I mean, by having to just buy a key and make a reservation, so. Thank you for, let's keep it on this.
Are there any public comments on this item? Okay. Okay, and then, any other general comments or questions from the committee on this? No? Okay. So if, one thing I just want to ask the pickleball subcommittee to do is just think about how we're going to measure success. What are the next steps? How, maybe think about, do we take the trial out to July? I think that would be 6 months, but we had that period in January, February, which people couldn't get it until mid-February, so maybe extend it out another month or something until the end of August.
Yeah, to Will's point, the weather hasn't been ideal, so we probably haven't seen the true usage that we'll see as the weather improves, and we'll probably have a lot more to evaluate at that point.
Who's the third member of your subcommittee?
Trish.
That's it. It's just the two of them.
Well, she's not on the.
Yeah.
So do we need a third member?
If a third member wants to volunteer, they can join. If we have a
Are you
volunteer.
volunteering?
I think
Sure, I'll be on it.
okay. As a chair, I will let you be on the third member, and so you guys decide, how you guys want to meet, what you want to discuss, and then I think we're just going to have this agendized for the rest of this, at least my time as chair this fiscal year. And then just let me know if you want something, any materials you want to be added to it. Otherwise, I'll just keep this as an agenda item.
So would you just check to make sure it's not a problem to have a 3-member committee if we only have 6 members, a 3-member subcommittee? We only have 6 members on the committee.
We're doing that actually already with the playground.
So double.
I'll double check.
Robert's usually pretty good about it, and he's been with us on our subcommittee meetings, so.
Yeah. Well, I know you can't have a quorum.
Okay,
I don't think 3 is a quorum.
no, because
4 is.
because 7 is kind of the capacity
But
and
I
they
think it's
measure it
fine.
by that,
I'm
yeah.
just-
Just want to double
Don't
check,
feel
that's fine.
obligated. No, and I've done.
So
Got
your
it.
membership is subject to what Will finds out and then you can
I
join.
will let you know. Well.
Uh,
I think it's not a problem, but I just think it's prudent to check.
Okay, so why don't we move on to the next item if there's no more comments or questions? 5C Capital Improvement Program. So I think last time we had, just to recap for those who missed last month's meeting, we had 3 items we had prioritized. It was the playground construction, the playground bathrooms, and then also renovations in the
Pavilion.
Jennings Pavilion, yeah. And it was a little open what those renovations would be, but ways to.
Some
improve the
renovations
space.
in, I think, both the pavilion and the main house, right?
I think we specifically,
And-
I think we just said Jennings only, but
Yeah, there was a back and forth. I know that both of them need to be done. It's just kind of prioritizing the.
because
What you
Jennings is kind of the bigger main
Yeah.
venue.
Yeah.
But of course, the council can decide if they want to expand it.
That's fine.
Yeah, but I think some of the ideas you were talking about was like hardwood floors, new paint, new lighting.
Yeah, Julie has some good ideas there.
Yeah, there's other things in there that could be, did you say the lights?
Yeah, lighting,
Okay, very
improved lighting.
dated. And then there's some other things, just, I think, replacing stuff on the wall, or, do you need stuff on the wall if the event, is gonna have decorations anyway? And when there's been art exhibits and everything, and you don't really need anything on the walls, but yeah, I would need to take another look, because I haven't been in there for a while.
But anyway, so,
We have an additional item there now that I just heard about from Councilman Widmer when Frank and I met with the foundation. That is, there's a proposal to actually do perhaps a heat pump in there, to actually perhaps have it so that it would be a place where people can go when their electricity goes out. In other words, to build in something there by way of whatever it is, generator, whatever they're going to do. And so that I think we need to explore a little further before we get to actually the amount of money that's going to be spent on that. I think George has all this in mind.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, I hear that there's also, I think Rick knows about this, idea to spend money into the carriage house. We had this long lost, of course, money for the bathrooms. which we were ready to spend, but we can't find anybody to do it. But then there's a comment that we might also put money into a kitchen or something else. So I do think we need a presentation from Robert on that as to what he and George have in mind.
For the Jennings,
No.
for
For the carriage.
also
the carriage, for
house.
carriage house, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, both of them actually.
okay. Did you, go ahead.
When an item is budgeted, when it's actually in our annual budget and it doesn't get done, which I believe the bathrooms in the carriage house were. It then goes into a category that is carried over. So the budget doesn't go away, the budget's still there, doesn't need to be approved in a new budget.
Oh, great.
And I'm pretty sure that's, would be true with respect to the bathrooms, because we tried to get those done.
5 years ago.
Yeah, and we've tried many times, right? And we just haven't been able to get a bidder.
Couldn't find anybody to do it. We budgeted it.
Wow.
We budgeted it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still in the budget. We just.
It's still in
yeah,
the budget.
We just rolled
That's
it
what I
over.
thought.
So in fact, you may remember from a few hours ago, there's going to be a document presented to you on all projects
Yeah.
that have already been budgeted but haven't been done.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
where that money goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we waiting for a slowdown in the economy, then we'll get some bidders and, okay, something like that?
Well, it's very strange to me. Many people in town are getting their bathrooms redone.
Yeah.
Why we can't get those people to do it over here? I was asking Rick about this. I mean, do we put up problems? Do we, make them do things that they wouldn't do if they got a permit?
We have
for a
an
house?
expert, and
What do you think,
of
Frank?
what we were talking about. I can't
I don't
remember.
know.
If we have an expert.
Will would have to look into
Yeah, I'd have to
that.
look into that. I'm not sure.
I remember seeing a plan, like some schematic drawings.
Too, but I don't,
I don't know how much it was
yeah, I,
bidding to design and build
correct.
versus,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
But
I'm
Will
not-
can find out.
I'm not sure if there was limitations or issues because of the historical significance of
Maybe,
the
yeah.
house and stuff like that too.
Not,
I don't think that was material.
I don't think that was enough at that time.
Yeah, it was just too small of a project. That's what I
That's
remember
what,
Robert was
that's
saying.
exactly what we were told.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe what we need to do is roll it in with a Jennings Pavilion project and then it's big enough to make it worthwhile.
We tried to do that when we did the Jennings Pavilion bathrooms and they were rejected.
I was gonna ask, because that's not on this. Are we including the bathrooms in the renovation of Jennings?
No, they were done.
They were done
brand
already.
new.
That's all done.
Those bathrooms are done.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They're not, yeah.
But I think also now contractors aren't quite as busy as they were 2 years ago, so
Wait.
maybe we'll get some bids.
Okay. And then there was also a fence project that was gonna go along Watkins. Is that still gonna happen this fiscal year or is it?
I'll have to check in on that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I know you guys are pretty busy at the Public Works, so, but yeah, that's been budgeted too. Okay, were there any other items for discussion in the capital improvement program? Okay, well, we move on to the next topic. Brightview 5D.
Yes, the Brightview Quality Assessment is attached there. Do you have any questions or anything like that?
I would like to comment that they,
I would like to comment that they have, to me, seem to be doing a much more thorough and complete job
Thank you.
overall with every component of the park.
Yeah.
Cleanup, plants, everything. It just looks better. So much better.
I will gladly pass that along to them. They
Yeah,
work,
I-
they work
I-
extremely hard. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. And actually, if I had seen this presentation before we did the walkthrough.
Yeah.
I probably would have had some other comments in the walkthrough, because there were things like, there were places where there were weeds where I would have said, hey, we should clean up the weeds, but it looked so much better than it's looked other times that I didn't make that comment.
Yeah.
But this presentation's good, and it would have encouraged me to make that comment.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. The park looks really, in really nice shape.
This presentation confirms to me that they're really micromanaging this thing. I mean, the gross overall of it is very good, and now they're going down here into the, literally into the weeds, shall we say, and getting after little tiny things, which
Yeah, from
Oh,
their
great.
management down to the things that work there is a great communications between the town and the Brightview company, so it's a good relationship.
Excellent.
Okay. Any public comments on this? None? Okay, why don't we move on to 7, Park Foundation report? Walt or
Well, I'll start with.
Frank?
I have an appointment at the end of this week to talk about trying to replace the fountain. Find as close to the exact shape and size and all the rest. What I presented to them last week when I was first talking to them was the little darlings that want to take a selfie on it. So I'm trying to figure out, is there something they can build that's essentially bulletproof that isn't gonna break if two little darlings jump up and down on that? Or is there some other way to, I don't think a fence is gonna work. I think it would probably draw away from the fountain more than, and so I don't know, I asked 2 companies, Sylvester, Montana, took them the actual 1939 picture I have of the fountain. That, can you guys find something that looks like? So I will know what we're gonna do. The foundation is, we decided it's gonna be our goal,
Okay,
short-term goal here, to put that together. So now that we know that the water system works and the electricity is out there, that's what we weren't gonna go there until we knew that we had a cooperation in the town as far as the power and the water. So we're good.
okay. Any-
So just feedback on that. I think that's exactly right. I think, target what we had.
Yeah.
But focus on something that's gonna not get
I
damaged.
called it performance. I said, we can't have a piece of artwork out there. We gotta have a piece of performance art, something that we can count on, that's gonna last for 20 years, it isn't gonna
Yeah.
fall down the first time a kid
And-
runs into it, so.
And if it doesn't look as close as what we had as something that's more artistic, I would go with the piece that doesn't look as close to what we had. But I think that's the right target.
Well, that's what I was going for, the original design, but they're gonna come back to me with other options that, because some of the dishes they're called possibly are just not thick enough and not sturdy enough. They can't, unless they changed it to a different manufacturer, that's what they're looking at. They're saying, let me go back to see if we can manufacture it out of acrylic. The ones that the kids would most likely stand on, would be acrylic. And so I'm not necessarily saying one way or the other, but acrylic like term seems rather, to me, I can't imagine if that would look like what we want to do this week, so.
Okay.
We will get back to you. What else, Walt, anything else? Walt, anything else?
Well, Frank, would you propose also to have some kind of fencing around?
That's what I mean, I can't imagine.
I
putting
would
a
think
fence
so, a
there.
low fence.
Well, I don't know, I don't know.
Spikes.
I don't think we can go for the electric wire, but
Well, I
Bird spikes, put the bird spikes. in.
Solar thing there, so that's all it takes.
Well, and as the person who hates too many signs, would a sign do any good? Was there one before? Don't
Maybe one
climb
that
on the
says,
mountain?
do not touch radioactive.
the 2-year-olds don't read the sign very well.
About a 2-year-old's gonna be accompanied by an adult,
Well, you hope so.
so, yeah. I'm just,
2-year-olds
it's
don't,
just
but it's not
another, it's
the
just. another-
2-year-olds.
We're climbing it, it was
It's a re-
7 or 8-year-olds
10-year-olds.
or 10-year-olds.
Yeah, 10-year-olds, they were the climbing on it. When they got to be 80 pounds or whatever, so.
Something to add to the possibility, potential,
Okay, well, thank you, Frank. 7B and 7C.
Yes, the park division monthly report is attached on there for you. You guys can look through it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Just a few things to kind of highlight from March. We did installing of more art hanging system inside the main house. Dorothy from the art room is, constantly getting more and more artwork, and it will be now able to display it inside the main house. So it will be there for a future endeavor, plus, for our rentals and everything like that. As we did on our walk around today, I showed you, we installed wood slats at the event center area, event garden. that was more of a safety and aesthetic thing. There was a lot of broken and rotten wood in there, so we replaced that to make sure nobody, trip or fell or hurt
This is
themselves.
at the bottom of the steps of the main house.
No, this is walking out of Jennings Pavilion out into the event garden.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
like slats in between and all that wood was rotten and broken out, so we replaced it.
Oh,
with brand new
between the
wood.
concrete.
Yeah, between, the-
Okay.
yeah, there's
Because there
pictures of
is some of that wood on the,
the main house.
yeah, on the.
Yeah,
main
they've started to work in some of that areas too. We replaced some gutters and downspouts at the pavilion and painted them. New wood chips are going around everywhere. We did some lighting replacement at the ball field. And as we talked on the thing, we had an odor issue inside the main house that was resolved after a little bit of time, but it's taken care of now. Future projects will be, like I said, installing a baffling system at the pickleball court. And like you saw today on the walk around, we removed the oak tree at the pavilion. So that's what's going on. Tennis court usage, you can see the reservation numbers on there. Pickleball picked up from last month, 24 from 15.5. And all the pictures are included. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
I do notice that they did mention very specifically the problem with the DG on the pathway that we saw.
Yes.
And
we-
apparently, I mean, they say it looks like it could get some help, but they don't say what it's gonna be or who's gonna fix it.
Yeah, we're in a constant, between Brightview, MC and myself, we're constantly working with it and trying to do it. A lot of the new DG did not have enough stabilizer in it, so we're constantly mixing that, trying to pack it down and work on it. So we're doing little areas by areas and trying to do that. The rainfall doesn't help. Once it gets dried out, we're able to kind of mix that up and kind of patch it and get it a little better here and there. So it is a continued process.
The other item that I think is appropriate now is what is the status on hiring of a temporary in order to do the event planning?
Yeah, right now we do have a temporary employee that's working. Her name is Diane. She works there 3 days a week out of the main house. She's been doing the reservations and everything. You can see that moving down into 7C, from February's rentals to March's went dramatically up. We had a big one with Sacred Heart. The revenue went from 0 in February to $9,400 last month. And we have other things planned out coming up here. We have a lot of day use and other events moving forward.
What is Diane's last name?
I don't have it. I'll get that to
Okay,
you. I
that's
don't
fine.
have it with me, but it's Rivera? Barrera, sorry, Diane Barrera. Yeah, she is a temporary employee. She works 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and does showings and everything like that.
Does Brightview use electric blowers for the leaves?
Yes.
No? Okay.
Electric blowers for the leaves, yes.
It's
You
very
have-
impressive to look at the events you have planned in April.
Yeah,
Gives us hope again.
yes, yes. Yeah, she's working hard at it. We're all working hard at it. We're hoping that everything we do, from the beautification of the landscape to what repairs we can do, can kind of bring up more business. So,
And then how's the hiring going for a permanent? Are bids coming in or?
the RFP is out right now. I believe it's May that it's coming in. We just had a scheduled walkthrough for anybody that was interested today, this
Yeah.
morning. Nobody showed up to it.
Okay,
So that's not encouraging. So we're gonna work at other avenues of getting the word out there and getting that RFP out there.
okay.
So we're working on it. If you guys know anybody, please let us know. We'll gladly send over the information.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, our next meeting will be the 1st of May, 6:30. Motion to adjourn? Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.